Other major challenges are your willingness sometimes to allow manipulation by high-level authorities who leak stories and by lawyers who seek to strengthen their arguments through the use of hyperbole.
I sincerely hope we find out just who's behind a lot of those leaks. I'll be willing to bet we'll see some familiar names and affiliations associated with those actions, some of which we deem treasonous.
Your unwillingness to accurately and prominently correct your mistakes and your agenda-driven biases sometimes contribute to this corrosive environment.
Many others and I are still waiting for formal acknowledgments and retractions for the Jesse Macbeth and Scott Beauchamp phony soldiers the left paraded throughout the world media. Their words of false rapes and murders, even translated into Arabic, emboldened the enemy, and when proven false, these same liberal enablers remain silent to this day.
All of these challenges combined create a media environment that does a tremendous disservice to America in some instances. Over the course of this war, tactically insignificant events have become strategic defeats for our country because of the tremendous power and impact of the media, and by extension, you individually, the journalist.
Word.
We realize that because of the near real-time reporting environment that you face, it is difficult to report accurately in some cases. In my business, one of our fundamental truths is that the first report is always wrong.
Now, many of you may understand my skepticism with certain stories when they first break. If something smells bad, it's probably spoiled.
Unfortunately, in your business, the first report gives Americans who rely on the snippets of CNN, if you will, their truths and perspectives on an issue. As a corollary to this deadline-driven need to publish initial impressions or observations versus objective facts, there is an additional challenge for us who are the subject of your reporting.
I wonder if there's a reason why he singled out CNN?
When you assume that you are correct and on the moral high ground on a story because we have not responded to questions you provided, I think this is the ultimate in arrogance and distortion of ethics.
Where have you heard that before?
One of your highly respected fellow journalists once told me that there are some amongst you who feed from a pig's trough. If that is who I am dealing with, then I will never respond. Otherwise, we will both get dirty and the pig's going to love it, and I can't control it. Now, this does not mean that your story is accurate or inaccurate. It just means that your subject chooses not to respond.
This is a world-class spanking the media will never repeat on their broadcasts. The truth hurts.
Now, I do not believe that all of these challenges is what our forefathers intended of this great profession. The Code of Ethics for the Society of Professional Journalists states, and I don't mean to preach to you, but I'll quote, "Public enlightenment is the forerunner of justice and the foundation of democracy. The duty of the journalist is to further those ends by seeking truth and providing a fair and comprehensive account of events and issues. Conscientious journalists from all media and specialties strive to serve the public with thoroughness and honesty, and professional integrity is the cornerstone of a journalist's credibility," end quote.
Now Sanchez went and did it, telling the media how to do their job and the ethical standards expected. Now for specifics.
The basic ethics of a journalist, as laid out here, of seeking truth, fair and comprehensive accounting of events and issues, thoroughness and honesty.
One would think this would be ingrained as part of Journalism 101, but remember, most journalism students today answer why they want to be in the profession as wanting to make a difference. Reporting the news isn't glamorous enough.
All are sometimes victims of the massive agenda-driven competition for economic or political supremacy. The death knell of your ethics has been enabled by some parent organizations who have chosen to align themselves with political agendas. And what is clear to me is that you are perpetuating the corrosive partisan politics that is destroying our country and killing our service members who are at war in some cases.
The media has chosen sides, and as they're human, it's reflected in their reporting of events to meet an agenda. Chris Matthews can go rip all he wants regarding questions about his objectivity or lack thereof, but the impression remains. And when the media reports only the negative about the war and purposefully omits the good, the people who suffer are the ones doing the fighting and dying, people the anointed press could give a damn about.
My assessment is that your profession, to some extent, has strayed from these worthy ethical standards and have allowed external agendas to manipulate what the American public sees on TV, what they read in our newspapers, and what they see and read on the web. For some of you, just like some of our politicians, the truth is of little to no value if it does not fit your own preconceived notions, biases, or agendas.
The Think Progress and New York Times types have intentionally left out the guts of this speech that lambaste the media and the ideology that drives them. Instead, they've only reported the part of the speech, yet to come, that fits the anti-war, anti-Bush agenda.
It is astounding to me when I hear the vehement disagreements with the military's foray into information operations that seek to disseminate the truth and inform the Iraqi people in order to counter our enemy's blatant propaganda. As I assess various media entities, some are unquestionably engaged in political propaganda within our own country that is uncontrolled.
This, General, does not astound some of us.
There is no question in my mind that the strength of our democracy and our freedom remains linked to your ability to exercise this freedom that we fight for. Freedom of the press, I adamantly support, and because this is the basic foundation of our democracy, and I have completely supported the embedding of media into our formations up until my very last day in uniform, and I will continue to do so. The issue is one of maintaining professional ethics and standards from within your institution. Military leaders must unquestionably accept that these injustices will happen, and whether they like what you print or not, they must deal with you and they must enable you in order for you to enlighten the American people. But you must be ethical. Finally, I will leave this subject with a question that we must ask ourselves. Who is responsible for maintaining the ethical standards of the profession in order to ensure that our democracy does not continue to be threatened by this, what I consider a dangerous shift away from your sacred duty of public enlightenment?
A scary question if left answered by the elites in the mainstream media.
Let me now transition to our current national security condition.
Here's the stuff the left latched onto. Even after explaining to them how to report events, the liberals in the media went right back to their standard operating procedure: report only what aids the anti-war, anti-Bush agenda. So in closing, I don't want this to come off as some MASH goodbye moment, but black and white is now officially a done deal. It had its purpose, and now it's time to move on. We're taking the message to the airwaves via the Intel Radio Network. The news show, Outside the Wire, airs Monday through Friday from 9 p.m. to midnight with yours truly behind the mic. You can hear and watch the show live online, but give your local radio station a call and ask them, "Where's Bob?" I could have never gotten this far without you, and for that, I'll always be grateful. Talk to you soon.